On the planet Araya, 2 moons always shone in the night sky. The people of Araya lived in peace. Humans had come from Earth many years ago and built homes near the forests, rivers, and hills. Another kind people, called the Eloi, already lived. On this planet, they had bright eyes, soft voices, and lived very long lives. They were calm and gentle, and they loved music, nature, and the stars. In one small human village, a boy named Noah lived with his parents. He was only 7 years old. Noah was full of questions. He loved to climb hills, look at stars, and draw pictures of space. He wanted to become a space explorer one day. Every afternoon, Noah would run to a small field near the Eloi village. That is where he met Lena, an Eloi girl who looked almost his age. But she was not really a child. Eloi lived much longer than humans, so Lena was almost 50 in Earth years, but still looked young. Noah did not care about age. To him, Lena was his best friend. She had a soft voice and laughed like wind chimes. She told stories about the trees and stars. Noah shared Earth stories, jokes, and silly songs. They would sit under the big blue trees and eat fruits, or lie on the soft grass and watch the clouds move. One evening, the sky turned orange as the sun went down, and the twin moons slowly appeared above the hills. Noah and Lena sat on a stone near the river. The light of the moons made the water sparkle like silver. Lena was quiet. She looked at the sky for a long time. Noah asked, "Why are you sad?" Lena shook her head. "I'm not sad. Just thinking. One day, you will grow up and you'll go away. Humans don't stay in one place." Noah looked at her, surprised. "I'm not going anywhere," she smiled. "Maybe not now, but someday." Noah thought for a moment. Then he stood up on the rock and said, "Lena, I promise. When I grow up, I will marry you." Lena looked at him, her eyes wide. "You don't even know what that means." "Yes, I do," he said proudly. "It means I will stay with you forever, and we'll be best friends always." Lena laughed. It was a light musical laugh. "What if I don't?" "Want to marry you?" Noah made a serious face and crossed his arms. "Then I'll wait until you do." They both laughed then. It felt silly, but special. Oh. Noah picked up a small piece of wood and used his small knife to shape it into a ring. It was not perfect, but it was made with care. He gave it to Lena. "This is your ring," he said. "Don't lose it." Lena held the wooden ring gently. "I'll keep it safe." Then they sat together in silence, watching the moons and dreaming of stars. The next few weeks passed quickly. One morning, Noah's parents got an important message from the capital city. They had been chosen to join a deep space research team. It was a great honor. They would travel on a ship called Horizon 1, going to a far star system for study. It would take many years. They were told to leave in just 2 weeks. Noah was upset. He didn't want to leave Lena or his village or the twin moons. The night before the departure, Noah ran to the stone near the river. Lena was already there, waiting, she knew. "You're leaving," she said softly. Noah nodded. "They said we might not come back for a long time." Lena's voice trembled. "How long?" Noah shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe 10 years for me. But ... for you, maybe 40 or 50. Time passed differently on space missions, especially at light speed. To Noah, the trip would feel short. But on Araya, many years would go by. Lena looked down. "You'll forget me, won't?" Noah said quickly. He took her hand. "I'll come back. I'll keep my promise. I'll marry you." Lena smiled, but her eyes were wet. "Oh, you're still just a child, Noah. Then I'll come back as a grown-up. And I'll bring you a real ring." He meant every word. Lena nodded slowly. "Then I'll wait, even if it takes a long time." Hugged. It was the kind of hug that stays in your heart forever. The next morning, the spaceport was full of families saying goodbye. Noah held his backpack tightly. Lena stood far away, near a tree, watching. She did not cry. She only touched the small wooden ring in her hand. Noah looked back one last time before entering the ship. He saw her there and smiled. He raised his hand and waved. Lena raised hers too. Then the ship's doors closed, and Noah was gone. Time on Aria moved forward. Trees grew taller. New houses were built. People changed. But every night under the twin moons, Lena sat on the old stone by the river. She looked at the stars and remembered the little boy who promised to return with a ring made not of wood, but of light, and somewhere in the deep silence of space. Noah flew toward the stars, still holding her name close to his heart. The spaceship Horizon 1 was the most advanced ship ever built by humans. It was large, silver, and shaped like a bird with long wings. It could travel faster than light, using a special engine called the Starlight Core. The mission was to explore faraway planets and collect data. Only the best scientists and brave families were chosen for the journey. Noah sat near a window, its eyes wide as the ship lifted from the surface of Aria. He could see the green forests, the blue rivers, and the twin moons slowly getting smaller. His hand pressed against the glass. His heart felt heavy. He had said goodbye to Lena, but a part of him stayed behind with her. He whispered, "I will come back." His parents sat beside him. His father, Tom, was a ship engineer. His mother, Mira, was a space botanist. They were proud of the mission, but they knew it would be hard for Noah. "You okay?" his mother asked gently. Noah nodded. "Yes, I just miss Lena." His mother smiled kindly. "That means she's special. If someone stays in your heart, they never really leave." Noah held a small notebook in his hands. Inside were drawings of Lena, of the twin moons, and of the Riverstone, where they always met. He opened the notebook and drew a tiny star ring next to her picture. Days turned into weeks. The ship entered deep space and passed planets Noah had never seen before. The stars outside the windows seemed brighter here. Every room had gravity, fresh air, and soft light. The ship was like a flying city. Noah joined the Children's Learning Center. He studied science, math, and the stars. He was smart, curious, and full of ideas. He loved talking to the pilots, asking questions about time and space. One day he asked Captain Rami, "How long will we be gone?" Rami looked at the stars and replied, "For us, maybe 10 years. But for the people we left behind, it will be much more, maybe 40 or 50 years." Noah became quiet. He knew this.
Hi.
But hearing it again made it feel heavier. "What if someone waits that long?" he asked. Rami smiled, and that person must have a very strong heart. Nodded. He believed Lena had that kind of heart. Years passed on the ship. Noah turned 12, then 15, then 17. He became strong, tall, and kind. People on the ship liked him. He helped his father fix machines. He learned how to grow plants from his mother. He read books about alien languages and ancient stars. But he never forgot Lena. Every year, on the same day he left Aria, he would go to the highest viewing deck, look at the stars, and speak to her. "Happy waiting day, Lena. I'm growing up. I'll be there soon." One day, while helping in the research lab, Noah found something interesting. The team had collected small crystals from a comet near a red star. The crystals sparkled like frozen starlight. They were clear, but when held under warm light, they glowed with a soft golden color. Noah picked one up. It felt light and warm. In his hand, he thought of Lena at once. "This is perfect," he whispered. Later that night, he went to the ship's workshop. It was a small room with tools and machines. He worked alone, shaping the crystal carefully. He used a laser cutter and a fine brush. It took many days, making sure it was just right. Finally, he created a small ring. It was simple, but it glowed with light like the moons of Aria. He smiled as he held it in his palm. "This is your real ring, Lena," he said softly. "I promised, and I keep my promises." On the screen near the control room, the countdown had started. Only 2 more years of travel, then they would return to Ura. People on the ship were excited. Some were nervous. Many had friends and family they hadn't seen in decades. Noah felt a mix of joy and fear. Would Lena still be there? Would she remember a boy who left so long ago? He looked at the small wooden ring she had kept all those years ago. Still had a photo of it, the one he gave her before he left. He hoped she still had it. Wait for me, he whispered again. Meanwhile, on Aria, seasons had changed many times. Children had grown up. New houses had been built. Some people had moved to the cities. Others had gone to new planets. But Lena stayed. She became a teacher in her village. She taught music, language, and peace. She often walked to the river and sat on the same stone. She still wore the wooden ring on a silver chain around her neck. It was old and faded, but she never took it off. People sometimes asked her, "Why do you wait?" She would only smile and say, "Because he promised." Even when others laughed or shook their heads, she stayed strong. She believed. Back in space, Horizon 1 made its final turn. The engines glowed bright. The planet Araya appeared in the distance, small and blue, its twin moons shining above. Noah stood at the window, eyes full of hope. "I'm coming home," he whispered. The stars outside the window looked still, but the ship was moving faster than any bird, faster than any dream. Horizon 1 glided through space quietly, like a silver leaf in the wind. Inside the ship, people worked, studied, and slept. Time passed slowly for them, just a few years. But outside, in the rest of the universe, decades had gone by. Noah, now 17, had grown taller and wiser. His hair was darker, and his eyes were calm, but full of light. He had learned much from the ship's teachers and workers. But the one thing he never forgot was his promise to Lena. Every day. After finishing his studies or repair work, Noah went to the observation deck. It was a quiet place with wide windows where the stars could be seen clearly. Sometimes he would sit there for hours, writing in his notebook or sketching planets. Other times, he simply sat in silence, thinking of a river, 2 moons, and a girl who waited. He had made many friends on the ship, but none like Lena, none who made him laugh like she did, none who listened so carefully when he talked, believed in him like she always had. One evening, Noah was in the engineering room helping his father fix a broken pipe. Steam hissed from the sidewall, and tools were scattered on the floor. His father, Tom, wiped sweat from his forehead and handed Noah a scanner. "You've become good at this," Tom said. Noah smiled. "I've had a good teacher." They both laughed softly. Tom looked at his son for a moment. "You think about her often, don't you, Lena?" Noah nodded. Every day, Tom sat down and took a deep breath. "It's been almost 50 years on Aria since we left. Many things change in that much time." "I know," Noah said, looking down. "She might not be the same, or she might not remember." Noah's voice was quiet but steady. "Even if she changed, I will still remember my promise." Tom smiled slowly. "That's what makes you strong, Noah. Your heart never changes." In the science lab, Noah helped his mother, Mira, study alien crystals. She was kind and gentle like Lena in many ways. One day, she showed him a glowing blue stone taken from a comet tail. "This is called sunness," she explained. "It glows." From inside, when touched, Noah picked it up and felt warmth in his hand. The color slowly changed to gold. "This reminds me of Lena," he whispered. Mira looked at him. "Why?" "Because she also glows from the inside," he said simply. Mira smiled and said nothing. A mother understands when her child speaks from the heart. Later that night, Noah went to the workshop alone. He opened a small silver box where he kept the crystal ring he had made earlier. It was beautiful, clear but glowing with golden light. He had shaped it with care and love. It was smooth, simple, and elegant. He took out his notebook and placed it beside the ring. On the page was a drawing of Lena, her gentle eyes and her long hair blowing in the wind. Around her, he had drawn the twin moons and tiny stars. Beneath the picture, he had written, "You waited for me once. Now I come back with light." As the ship moved closer to Aria, the crew began preparing for landing. People checked machines, packed their bags, and sent messages to the planet below. Some were happy, others nervous. Many had tears in their eyes when they saw Rhea on the screen again. Noah stood at the front window, his heart racing. Rhea looked the same: green fields, blue rivers, and those two beautiful moons. But he knew it was not the same. Time had changed it. People had grown old. Friends might be gone, but somewhere down there, maybe near a river and a stone, Lena might still be waiting. He placed the ring back in the silver box and tucked it into his coat pocket. The day of landing arrived. The sky outside turned blue as the ship passed through Aria's clouds. The engine slowed, and the wings folded gently. The ship landed in a wide field outside the capital city. The doors opened. Fresh air rushed in, warm, soft, and full of flowers. Noah stepped out, feeling the ground under his feet for the first time in 10 years, or 50, depending on how you looked at time. People cheered, hugged, and cried. Scientists greeted them. Children waved. Some looked for family, others for friends. But Noah looked for one person only. Lena. He stayed quiet. As others talked and laughed, his heart beat faster as he walked toward the transport station. He had one small bag on his back, the silver box in his coat, and a dream in his mind. The journey to his village took a few hours. The road passed hills, forests, and small houses. Everything looked older, but still full of life. Birds flew above, and the sound of water came from far away. Finally, the transport stopped at the edge of the old village. Noah stepped out and looked around. It was evening now. The sky was orange, and the two moons were rising. He walked slowly down the familiar path, past the same trees, toward the river. His heart told him to go to the stone, their special place, and when he reached it, he saw her. She stood there, facing the river, her hair now a little longer, her clothes soft and simple. She did not turn around. She knew he was there. Noah's voice trembled. Lena. She turned. Her eyes widened. Her hand flew to her mouth, and then she smiled. It was the same smile, full of light and music. "You came back," she said softly. "I told you I would," he replied. She took a step forward. "You've grown, and you've waited." She reached for the chain around her neck. The wooden ring still hung there. "I never forgot," she whispered. Noah pulled out the silver box. He opened it, and the crystal ring inside glowed like golden fire under the moons. "I brought your real ring," he said. Long before Noah returned, Lena had learned to wait. After he left on the great ship Horizon 1, she came to the river every evening. She sat on the same stone, under the same tree, and looked up at the sky. Even when clouds covered the stars, she believed Noah was still out there growing, learning, remembering. At first, people in the village thought she was only feeling sad. They said he was a little boy. He will forget. But Lena shook her head gently. He made a promise. He'll come back. As years passed, the people of Oria changed. New human ships arrived. More families moved in. The village grew into a small town. Eloy and humans worked together, but sometimes there was distance between them. Not everyone understood their friendship. Some young Eloy asked Lena, "Why do you care for a human so much? They live short lives. They forget easily." Lena smiled and said, "Not all humans forget. Some remember forever." Lena became a teacher. In her community, she taught Eloy children and human children too. Her voice was calm, and her stories were full of stars and hope. She told them about Earth, about music, about kindness. And quietly in her heart, she always carried one story, the story of a boy named Noah, who had promised to return. Every night, before going to sleep, she touched the wooden ring that hung from her necklace. It was old now, smooth with faded edges, but to Lena, it was still full of life. It reminded her of a simpler time, when a small boy had stood under the moonlight and promised, "I will marry you." One day, many years after Noah had left, a small girl in Lena's class asked her, "Miss Lena, do you believe in promises?" Lena paused, then nodded. "Yes, I believe in promises, and I believe in people who keep them," another child said, even after many years. Lena smiled, especially after many years. The children liked her. They listened carefully when she spoke because her words felt true and full of meaning. Still, there were hard days too. Some humans who had come from other parts of the galaxy did not respect the ways of the Eloi. They built loud machines. They cut trees without asking. They laughed at old customs. Some even said the Eloi lived too slowly. They cared too much about things that don't matter. But Lena stayed calm. She believed that peace was stronger than pride. She kept teaching, kept waiting, and kept walking to the river, even when people whispered behind her back. Saying she was foolish, she only smiled. Time does not change truth, she would say. The seasons on Araya were gentle. The trees stayed green for most of the year. Sometimes soft purple flowers bloomed along the river. Birds with golden feathers flew in the sky. Lena loved nature, and often sat among the flowers to write poems and songs. One of her poems was shared across the village. If a promise flies far across the stars, and silence follows after, still I will sit beneath the moons, and wait for the sound of laughter. People began to know her as the woman who waited for the boy who went to the stars. Some laughed, some admired her, others felt sorry, but Lena did not care what they thought. To her, the world was full of noise, but promises were quiet and strong, like the roots of a tree. One night, as she sat under the twin moons, an old Eloi man came and stood beside her. His name was Errol, and he had watched her since she was young. "Still waiting?" he asked gently. She nodded. "Yes." Errol looked up at the stars. "Many don't understand you, but I think I do. You are not just waiting for a person. You are waiting for something greater." Lena looked at him. "You are waiting for a kind of love that crosses time, a kind that never fades." She smiled softly. "Yes, and I believe he will come back." When news spread that Horizon 1 had returned, many people on Aria were shocked. The ship had been gone for 50 years. Some thought it would never come back. Others had forgotten about it completely. Lena heard the news from a child who ran too. Her shouting, "The ship is back. The sky ship." She stood still for a moment, heart pounding. "Where?" she asked. "Near the capital," the child said. "People are cheering." Lena did not run. She only smiled and walked quietly back to her home. That night, she did not sleep. She sat by the window, looking at the stars, holding the wooden ring close to her chest. The next day, she went to the river. The wind was soft. The sky was orange, just like the day he left. The twin moons were rising, and then she heard footsteps behind her. She did not turn. She already knew who it was, Noah. She whispered. A familiar voice answered, gentle and strong, "I'm here." She turned slowly, and there he was, taller, older, his face changed by time, but his eyes still full of light. He walked closer, holding something in his hand. "I kept my promise," he said. Lena smiled. "I know." We stood together in silence. The river flowed. The moons glowed. The years between them melted away like morning mist. Then Noah opened a small silver box. Inside was a ring, glowing with soft golden light. "I made this for you," he said, "from a crystal I found near a red star. It's your real ring." Lena took the ring gently. It was warm, like sunlight. She placed it on her finger, next to the old wooden one, and for the first time in many years, tears filled her eyes. But they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of joy. Because sometimes, promises do return, even after a lifetime of waiting.
Ow.
The sky was filled with light as Horizon 1 descended slowly toward. Aria, the shining twin moons, watched silently, their glow soft and calm. The people of the planet had waited for this moment for many years. Many had given up hope, but some still believed. Noah stood on the ship's deck, his heart pounding. Outside, he could see the familiar green fields of his village and the rivers he loved so much. He thought about Lena, waiting for him at the river stone. He hoped she was still there. As the ship landed, a crowd gathered near the spaceport. Humans and Eloi came together, curious and excited. Some whispered, Is it really possible? After all these years? Noah stepped off the ship with his father and mother. The crowd cheered loudly, their voices mixing with the soft songs of the Eloi. Noah felt many eyes watching him, but he looked only ahead. Searching, the walk from the spaceport to the village was full of memories. The trees, the hills, the soft wind, all were the same, yet changed by time. Some faces in the crowd were new, some were older, and some had gone. Noah's heart beat faster as he neared the river. He remembered the promise he made so long ago and how Lena waited. When he reached the river stone, his eyes searched. There she was, standing tall and calm, as if she had never left. Lena turned slowly and saw him. Their eyes met, and a quiet joy filled the air. Noah stepped forward, his hand reaching into his pocket. He pulled out the glowing crystal ring. "Promise to come back," he said softly. "I kept my promise." Lena smiled, her eyes shining, and I waited. The village people watched in awe. They had heard the story of the little boy and the Eloi girl, and the promise of love that crossed stars and time. Now it was real. Some came forward to greet Noah. Others spoke quietly with Lena. The old Eloi man. Errol nodded with a smile. "Love like this is rare," he said. "It brings hope." Noah and Lena sat by the river holding hands. The twin moons rose higher, casting a soft light over the water. They talked about many things the years apart. The changes on Aria, the future. Noah told Lena about the stars he had seen and the planets he had studied. Lena told Noah about the village, the children she had taught, the peaceful life she had lived while waiting. The news of Noah's return spread across Aria quickly. Scientists, leaders, and citizens came to meet the young man who had traveled beyond the stars and returned for love. Noah was invited to the Interstellar Academy, where humans and Eloi studied together. There, he shared stories of his journey, of the strange places he had seen, the mysteries of space. His courage and kindness inspired many. People saw how humans could dream, hope, and keep promises, even when the stars seemed far away. At the academy, Noah worked hard. He learned new languages, studied technology, and made friends. But every evening, he returned to Lena. Together, they walked beneath the twin moons. Dreaming of the future, their love became a symbol, not just for their village, but for the whole planet. It showed that hope and faith could cross time, space, and even the longest waiting. One day during a special ceremony, the leaders of Araya honored Noah and Lena. They spoke of their story, the story of a promise kept, a journey completed, and a love that united two worlds. The crowd listened, in silence, then cheered loudly. Children waved small flags, and the stars above seemed to shine brighter. Noah looked at Lena and smiled. "We have a new beginning." Lena squeezed his hand. Together, as the night grew deeper, they stood once again at the riverstone. The twin moons glowed softly, their light touching everything gently. Noah gave Lena the glowing crystal ring again. "This is for you forever." Lena placed it on her finger and looked at him. "And this is for us, always." Their hearts beat as one beneath the stars, a promise kept, a love returned. The golden crystal ring on Lena's finger glowed softly in the moonlight. It was beautiful, warm, and full of meaning. She looked at it with quiet wonder. This was not just a ring, it was a promise, a journey, and a memory brought back from the stars. Noah stood beside her, watching her face. He had waited so long for this moment. He saw the joy in her eyes, and it made his heart feel full. "I made this ring for you," he said softly. "When I was on the ship, I found a crystal near a red star. I kept it safe for many years. I shaped it with my own hands. Every part of it holds my memory of you." Lena touched the ring gently. "It feels alive," she whispered. "It is," Noah replied. "It carries light from across the galaxy, just like our promise." They walked through the village the next morning. People smiled at them and waved. Children followed behind them, laughing and curious. Some whispered to each other, "That's the boy who came back." Others said, "Look, the glowing ring." Elders of the village watched with quiet respect. Many remembered Noah as a little boy who once ran through the fields and sat by the river. Now he had returned as a grown man, still carrying the heart of that boy. One old woman said, "This is not just a love story. It is a story of hope." When someone keeps a promise for 50 years, the whole world sees that hope is real. Noah and Lena returned to their favorite place, the stone near the river. It was here where everything began, and now it was the place where everything was coming together. They sat side by side, just like before. "I was afraid you might forget me," Lena said quietly. "I never forgot," Noah answered.
Even when
"I looked at new planets or touched stars, I always thought of you. You were the light in my memory." Lena smiled. "I waited, even when others said you wouldn't come back. Did you ever lose hope?" She looked at the water for a long time. Then she shook her head. "No, I felt something in my heart. It told me you were still coming." They sat in silence for a while, the wind playing gently through the trees. Later, Noah opened a small notebook. Inside were drawings, maps, and letters, all written for Lena during his space journey. "I wrote to you," he said, handing it. "To her, I couldn't send them, but I hoped one day you would read them." Lena opened the notebook carefully. Page after page was filled with simple drawings of stars, moons, strange animals, and even funny faces. Each letter began with "Dear Lena" and ended with "I'll see you soon." She smiled and held the notebook close to her chest. "These are the most beautiful letters I have ever seen," she whispered. In the evening, a gentle rain began to fall. It was soft and warm, like silver threads from the sky. Noah and Lena stayed under the large tree beside the river. The crystal ring caught the rain and glowed even brighter. "This ring is part of you," Lena said. "But now it is part of me too." Noah looked at her. "Then let it be our beginning." The next day, Noah visited the village hall. He spoke to the council of elders, which included both humans and Eloi. He bowed respectfully. "I have returned not only to see Lena," he said, "but to ask for your blessing. I wish to marry her." There was silence for a moment, then an elder stood up. He was a wise Eloi named Thalon. "You are human, and she is Eloi," Thalon said. "Your lives follow different times. Your people live shorter, move faster. Do you understand this?" "I do," Noah answered. "But love does not follow time. It only follows the heart." Another elder, a human woman named Mara, nodded. "You have shown courage and faith. You've honored your word. That is the true strength of both our kinds." Council spoke quietly among themselves. Then they smiled. "You have our blessing," they said together. Lena stood waiting near the river when Noah returned. He smiled brightly and held her hands. They said yes, he whispered. Lena's eyes filled with quiet joy. "Then we begin." Decided to have the wedding on the hill where the twin moons could be seen clearly. People from all over the village came. Some brought music, others brought flowers. The children picked glowing fruits from the trees and placed them in baskets. Noah wore simple white robes, and Lena wore a dress made from soft silver cloth. Her hair was tied with blue flowers. Around her neck was the old wooden ring. On her hand was the glowing crystal ring. They stood under the moonlight. With stars above and friends around, a young Eloi girl sang a sweet song in their language. Then the old Eloi man Errol stepped forward to speak. "This ring," he said, holding up the glowing one, was made from starlight. It traveled across space, through silence and darkness. But it reached its home just as Noah reached his promise. He turned to Lena. "You waited with faith." He turned to Noah. "And you returned with love." Then he said the final words, "Let the stars and moons witness this bond. Let time itself bow to the strength of the heart." Noah placed the ring on Lena's finger once again. She smiled and said, "Now it is forever." As the night came to an end, the stars above shimmered like diamonds. Music filled the air. Laughter echoed through the trees and beneath the twin moons of Araya. Noah and Lena danced slow, soft, and full of light. Their promise had become a truth. Their journey had become a home. Life after the wedding was peaceful and full of quiet joy. Noah and Lena built a small house near the river, close to the old stone where they first met. The place was surrounded by tall blue trees, singing birds and glowing flowers. Each morning, the sunlight danced on the water, and each evening, the twin moons rose gently above the hills. The house was simple, made of wood and stone, with windows that opened to the sound of wind and water. Noah planted a garden outside, filled with fruits and herbs from both earth and area. Lena placed a bench under the largest tree, where she could sit and read or write her songs. Inside the house, Noah kept his silver box on a shelf, the one that once held the glowing ring. Beside it was Lena's old necklace, still holding the wooden ring he gave her as a child. Both rings were different, one made of wood, one made of light, but both were made from love. Noah worked as a science teacher in the new learning center nearby. He taught children from both human and Eloi families, showed them how stars were born, how plants grew in space, how promises could shape the future. He always ended his lessons with one simple line: hope travels farther than light. The children liked him. They often asked about his travels across the stars. He told them stories of space, not just about machines and planets, but about kindness, friendship, and waiting hearts. Lena continued to teach music and stories. She had a soft voice, and the children said her songs felt like wind through leaves. She taught them not just how to sing, but how to listen. Music, she said, comes from the heart, just like truth. Together, Noah and Lena became a symbol in the village. Not just of love, but of unity between people, between cultures, between time itself. Years passed slowly on Aria. The seasons remained gentle. Flowers came and went. Birds built nests in the trees. Children grew taller, and some moved to far places. Yet Noah and Lena's love stayed strong, like the river that flowed beside them, always moving, always calm. One evening, as they sat on the river bench, Lena looked up at the stars and said, "Do you remember the day you gave me that wooden ring?" Noah smiled. "You were sitting on this same stone. And you said, 'I will marry you when I grow up.'" She laughed. He chuckled softly, "And I did." She took his hand. "You brought me a ring made of starlight. I still wear it." "I never wanted you to feel forgotten," he said. "You never made me feel alone," she replied. Even when the world changed. They sat quietly for a while, holding hands as the twin moons rose again. As time moved on, Noah grew older. His hair became silver at the edges, and his steps became slower, but his eyes still held the same light, the light of wonder, love. In truth, Lena, as an Eloi, aged more slowly. Her face still looked young, her voice still soft. But her heart carried the years gently, and she never left Noah's side. One day Noah grew very tired. He lay on a bed near the window, the garden in view, the sky clear above. Lena sat beside him, holding his hand. "I've had a good life," Noah whispered. "Yes," Lena said, "life full of love. I came back, didn't I?" "You did?" "I'm glad I kept my promise. I never stopped believing you would." He looked into her eyes. "Thank you for waiting." She kissed his hand. "Thank you for coming home." Then Noah closed his eyes, a soft smile on his face, and he rested not in sadness, but in peace. The village held a quiet gathering beside the river. People placed glowing flowers on the water, and children sang the song Lena once taught them. Errol, the wise elder, stood and spoke. Noah was not just a traveler of stars. He was a traveler of hearts. He taught us that time is not the measure of love. Faith is. Lena stood beside the river stone. Holding the old wooden ring in her hand and wearing the glowing crystal ring on her finger, she looked up at the sky. "Even stars fall," she said softly, "but their light keeps shining." Years later, people still came to the river. They told the story of the boy who promised and the girl who waited, of a wooden ring, a glowing one, and a love that crossed the stars. Children played near the stone. Lovers sat by the water. Elders told the tale on clear nights when both moons could be seen, and somewhere in the stars, It was said Noah's name moved with the light, a gentle reminder that promises, when made with truth, never truly end. In the garden of the little house, a tree grew tall. Its leaves glowed gently at night, and its flowers opened only under the moons. Beneath it was a stone with simple words carved in both human and Eloi language. He kept his promise. Oh, she waited. With love, and together they taught the world to believe. The end.